if things come through.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, because yeah, that's what I found, is that when we're all together, stuff just kind of comes in, gets downloaded. Because we're missing pieces of this very important puzzle, we have to remember, literally.
Oh, I'm getting chills. You just talking about that when you said missing
Great.
pieces.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah.
This is my little detail, but can you move your, so that
we're
we
seeing
don't
the
just see the
ceiling.
ceiling?
We're seeing the ceiling of your place.
Can we see more of you?
Oh, there you go.
Great,
Better.
thank you.
Okay.
Your nice artwork on your walls there.
So I just wondered if we should just let Marcia talk about her trip to Egypt.
Oh, yes.
As a way of introducing why I really wanted her to chat with us.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Michelle and I had a discussion about this last night. I'm going to close my front door.
I'm having trouble hearing you a little bit, Marcia.
Okay.
Some way you can put your microphone up a bit?
I'm sorry, what?
Could you please put your microphone up a bit, or I'm having trouble, or maybe it's on your computer, Maureen.
Oh, it's on my computer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay,
we
that's
can
better?
hear you a bit better. Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, I can put my headphones in too.
Okay. Oh, I think we didn't have our speakers up. Okay. No, we're good.
Okay, you're good now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, in October of 2018, I went to Egypt, and I went to Egypt with a very powerful ISIS Rose Lineage channel, okay, and a tantrika. And so,
are you going to say who the person was?
it's Layola Antara.
Okay.
Okay, and she's out of Australia.
What's her name?
Layola Antara.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
And so we took a group there, and the last place that we went was the Isis temple at Aswan. Mm-hmm. And we all had, before, like, we didn't go to the temple immediately the day that we got there. We went to, like, our camping site, which was right on the Nile, and you could see the temple in the distance. And women started having these huge reactions of pain and suffering and crying.
Oh.
And what was, yeah, oh yeah, there were a couple of young girls who had, like, were just like.
And was there a ceremony to induce this?
No. This just, like, because they were already in the memory of it.
Right.
Wow.
They were already in the memory of it. And so that night, Layola formed a group and said, listen, this is what is coming through in the group from what, you know, the healing sessions that she did with these two young women. And she was like, this temple, I feel like what we've come here to do is that the temple was sacked, and that this could be bringing up big things. And what she saw is it was by the Greeks and the Romans, but I got something totally different. The minute that we were in this group, I kept on seeing these European boats with square sails with a Coptic cross on it, but a little different version of a Coptic cross than what, we normally see. And it was just very subtle. It was just in the circle that was going around. And I told my roommate about, like, I kept on having these visions. And to me, I kept on hearing, like, European. It looked like a Spanish boat. And she was like one of the only people who had Wi-Fi there. And she looked it up and she's like, oh my gosh, is this it? And I said, yes, that's it. And so the next day when we went, we almost fell over because there were all of those crosses carved all over the temple.
Oh, were they an equilateral cross?
Yes, they were. They were the equilateral cross. And what was coming through for all of us is that we had been, for a number of us, is that we had been priestesses in the temple of Isis when it had been sacked by the Catholic priests. And so there was one woman in our group who was the high priestess in this timeline, in this dimension. And she actually saw me in her vision. She's also a very powerful clairvoyant and healer. And I only saw one person, and that was my friend Jennifer, who, like, picked up the baton and, we did the work in Bali around all of this. And so, but she wasn't actually on the trip in Egypt in 2018.
Oh.
Okay, Jennifer, I came home and I told Jennifer everything. We got these huge downloads, and then she went on her own journey, picking up where we left off. So when I was there, at my first day there, I was having all of these visions about seeing the ships coming in and Jennifer and I were on like another island, like a small little island right close by. We weren't quite on the temple property, and my duty in that lifetime was to protect Jennifer because she was the one who was embodying the mysteries. We knew that I'm getting chills just saying that. We knew that they were coming. We just didn't know when. We knew we were targeted to be sacked. And what we found, what you know, I found out literally is that there was somebody, and I already knew it because I could feel it. Is there was a woman, there was somebody, I shouldn't say a woman, there was a person in the group that I was traveling with who was the priestess in that lifetime who betrayed us to the priests and let them in. And so I could already feel that energy, but and somebody figured out who it was because they touched their arm and they saw it.
Oh my goodness,
And
but there she was
Right.
with you.
Well, that's to clear it, right? That's why.
yeah,
she was
Yeah.
yeah, which was great. And I was like, I don't need to know who this is. I know that we're all part of, we've all been played both roles, right? But the really important part was that for me, I was in a position of having to protect Jennifer. I was her protectress because I was assigned, I was still young enough. I was probably seeing myself 16, 17, 18 at the absolute oldest. Jennifer was actually a little younger than me. And she was the one who was able to embody all of the mysteries. And we knew that if we could get her away, which she was able to do, that the mysteries would then be safe. And then that we would come back in lifetimes later to, reopen them. Okay. And so, part of, we never, like, no one in the group ever knew what the mysteries were.
Okay.
However, we had done, uh, we had already, we had in place a magical ceremony because how the priests wanted to extract the mysteries from us was through a ritual rape ceremony. And I actually saw part of myself undergoing that. And then, later on, the next day when we went, or in the next day or two, other women started having visions of that happening to them in the group.
So they did want the information.
The priests, that's absolutely why they came, is they wanted the information for themselves. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay.
They wanted it for themselves.
Yeah.
And to,
Except that
and
way
to
the women can.
But if you don't have a womb, is what we're thinking.
Right, but there's this.
Sorry, what was that last part?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, Maureen said, if they don't have a womb, we're assuming that it's, the womb mysteries, but there might have been some other aspect, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, we didn't know what the mysteries were, so it's all encompassing.
I think it's connected. It's a piece that maybe sort of, anyway.
But when you said that it was a rape ritual, it was like, right, so they're putting their penises in to extract all that wisdom. It's like, putting the thing in your computer. I went, right, of course, makes perfect sense.
Since they're entering the womb, that's why I thought they must be wanting womb mysteries.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And
defiling
them too,
sorry,
right?
breaking up a little bit. I
Pure,
can't.
right? So
you guys are breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
They want the priests wanted to get the information from the women and dominate them and defile them. I mean, all of it at once, right?
All of it, yes. That sounds right.
Extracting the memories as well.
Yeah. What we had done, and by the way, if they were actually dressed like, I've never told anybody this, and for right now, let's please keep this as confidential as possible. Okay. One of them, the main man, there were 3 of them, and the main priest was actually dressed as the Pope. Right. And I don't know if he was the Pope or if he was someone who was representing the Pope. So the extraction was going to go right to the top of the church.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and this was definitely a ritual. And part of what Michelle and I were discussing last night is everything that's going on with Jeffrey Epstein and that whole gang could be easily related to what I experienced. Um, the thing is, I didn't undergo the entire vision
Mhm.
because Spirit actually said to me, they showed me enough, and when they started saying the words, Spirit like put them on mute and said, "You cannot hear these words.
Right.
You
Because
absolutely cannot hear this ritual."
Who said that?
Spirit, like my guides came in.
The spirit guides.
My spirit guides
Oh,
came in and said, "You absolutely," because they were showing me, I was
Right.
getting the visual, I was seeing everything that was happening, I was experiencing it, and they're like, "You can not hear those words."
Mm.
because they were so negative, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, they were.
It's dark magic.
It's the darkest of the darkest kind of ritual. So what we did in response as priestesses
Mhm.
is we had a plan in place if it got that far, and the plan in place was to actually do. We had a plan in place to energetically put a chastity belt on us,
Oh.
so that even if we were raped, the
Mhm.
chastity belt.
Protected.
That's the only way we can describe it. The energetic chastity belt could not extract the mysteries, so they didn't get them,
Right.
as far as we
oh,
know.
That's very interesting.
wow, good work.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And from
That's
in this
that's really
timeline, in this
great.
dimension,
Yeah,
because
it's all.
then what we had to do when we all saw this
Mhm.
happening is that this has been a part of all of our sexual trauma.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so the next piece was we went to, there's actually two sites. The original site of the Isis temple is a semi underwater right now, and it's abandoned. And
Oh,
because the current location of the Isis temple, according to our travel guide, who
Right.
is an Egyptian who grew up there, was moved because of is it the Suez,
The
it's the
Aswan
dam,
Dam. Aswan Dam.
the Aswan Dam, because of the dam.
Yeah.
And so so we went back to the actual original site, which is essentially abandoned, and
Uh,
we did the ceremony to lift the chastity belt off. And
Oh,
we were able to do it. I personally lifted three. I had done three of these kinds of ceremonies
wow.
in other lifetimes.
throughout different lifetimes. They were in the same lifetime as the Egyptian. It just happened to be that way. So
So what? It's on an island. This Isis temple, because I know, like I'm initiated as a priestess of Isis, and the woman who runs the temple, she went to this place in Egypt. It begins with a P, I believe. What's the name of the
I
location?
Oh,
Bill,
I found out I did Philii,
Billy,
Yes, that's right. Okay, right.
yeah.
Philii or whatever.
Yes, yeah. So also when they built the Aswan Dam, which was a big deal, it was also disempowering that ancient temple even more. And that was in the 50s or something, or the
Yeah, it
60s.
was. It was
Built it.
right around 1960. And
Yeah.
what they did to this was my part of the project. I was the only one that got this information, and that's what then launched the reason why we did the retreat in Bali. And I was the only one who saw Jennifer too. So that's why the Bali retreat got launched.
Right.
Is that she did escape. She did her thing. She actually escaped, and she was able to bury it and do what she needed to do. And then the other thing was when they moved that temple, it was a very deliberate move.
Mhm.
And what we had done as the priestesses throughout time and space is what they had shown me is there was an umbilical cord going down from, like, let's say the holy of the holies of temple, up from the Isis temple in the original spot, going all the way down to Mama Gaia into the crystalline cord to anchor it. And what they did when they cut the dam is they made sure that they cut that umbilical cord too.
Oh,
So when we went, so part of my mission in Bali was and they cut off all the priestess power too, because we were all linked into it. is when we went back to Bali. When I went to Bali, I was given downloads to be able to reestablish the like we were able to do a ceremony to actually cook ourselves back up to the original umbilical cord, and to like put it online for all of us.
Why Bali?
Yeah, why Bali? Just because
Because
it's a
that's where
high
my
energy.
girlfriend was living. My girlfriend, who
No.
was the one who survived, who carried the mysteries.
Oh,
Spirit,
okay. She
you
lives
know,
in Bali.
spirit guided. She was guided from what I was getting, and what she was getting, that it was on Bali. That we
Okay.
had to hook
Oh,
everything
great.
back up.
Oh,
Well, there's different energy centers in the world, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
grid it up.
Yep.
Interesting.
so
Oh.
is it just the Isis priestesses that were able to link up?
Everybody linked up, actually. Everybody who was at the retreat, I mean, it was a small retreat. There were probably like 14, 15 women, but everybody linked up. So we just assumed that everybody who showed up for the retreat had been, they had their umbilical cord cut from.
No, I think excuse me, Maureen. I think what you mean was all the lineages, like all the women. I mean, Isis, is the original goddess. So
Right.
any goddess religion that comes down from that, they're all linked, right? They're all just different variations in different cultures, explained different ways. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So
Oh, no,
by you
absolutely.
doing that ritual, did that mean a lot of us were also linked up again?
Oh, I see what you're saying, Maureen. I never even thought about it.
Okay. Well, as everybody does a piece of this, it helps everybody else.
Yes,
That's
exactly. I can't imagine why.
right? Yeah.
Well-
Because we're all part of the lineage. No matter, like you said, Isis is the original. We all have our Isis initiations, so it spreads out.
Right.
It has to spread out and sprinkle down in some way, shape, or form.
You know what? When you were talking about this, what struck me is is the '60s was when the birth control pill was developed, and women's liberation really stepped up. So at the same time that happened,
Right.
that was really the beginning of the early feminist movement, and women being liberated through the pill, and that was all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that whole '60s business, shift. Interesting.
And what did you say about you see a connection with what's going on with the Epstein case?
Yeah.
But they were doing
mean just
to me, what they were doing to me is just a variation of what's happening today.
What they're
It's
doing
what
to
I feel in my heart of hearts.
The abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just interesting that it's all coming to light right now.
just to violate women and stuff.
And it doesn't. have to be
which is
exact-
great. Which is
Yeah, I don't feel, and it's great, too, because we did so much healing around that when we were there 2 years ago.
Maybe that helped the case crack.
I hope so, because Me Too happened. Well, that was right around the time that Me Too happened.
Me Too happened.
Wow. Right.
Because I think Alyssa Milano started to be, Twitter right in October, and we were there in October.
Right.
And 2018. Oh, I'm getting chills just saying that.
And
the whole there
is Me Too.
Right.
And we said something else.
So it's October 2018. So because I'm an astrologer, I'm curious. Do you know exactly what dates? Because I want to check it out
I can go
astrologically.
back and I can look, because we got to Egypt right when Venus went retrograde.
There
So it was right about
okay.
October 8th, October 9th.
So you remember
And
that?
so it was more like in the teens.
Okay.
We were, because we went to Aswan like the last few days.
Right.
So it probably was closer to like, I don't know, the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th in that day. But I can look it up because I kept a journal of everything that was going on, because it was so like, whoa.
Yeah. So how long were you there for? 10 days? 2 weeks?
We were there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wow.
That's a lot to do in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And also, Marcia, you also said that Marcia said at the Egyptian temples, the guards would not allow the women to hold hands or do any kind of prayer.
It's illegal. It is illegal.
Because
It's illegal.
Wow.
why is it illegal?
What we were told is it's illegal because they don't want us receiving the codes.
That are still embedded.
Because the codes, when you walk in the temple, you put your hands up and
Right, you feel it all.
you can just feel it.
So isn't that temple submerged though? Isn't it on an island that's
There's
submerged,
two.
partly submerged? Oh,
The there's two. The original one, yes, on an island that's partly submerged.
Right.
The current one that everybody goes to is not, because that's the one they moved. Now, also next to where the submerged original temple was, the location temple, was the Osiris temple too.
Right. So it's the myth of Isis and Osiris.
Yes, they were side by side.
And so when you went to that original temple, it's the one that was submerged, or
It's a little bit submerged.
a little bit submerged. Okay.
Can
So
you go to it though?
What?
Can you go to the island of Philae? Can you go there even if it's partly submerged?
Wherever we were, I mean, I can text Michelle some photos. Wherever we were told it was the original location, and it's not completely submerged.
Right.
And the temple, like the steps are still coming out of the water, and there's this big gateway with all of the glyphs on it.
Wow.
Were you able to put your hands on it?
Oh yeah, no, there's no one there. No one knows about it.
Go up to it. Oh, okay, you were.
The original site, no one knows about it.
Right.
Because
Well,
I told my friends who've been to Egypt, they didn't know about it. I was going to go to Egypt with Alana Fairchild. I told her she had never heard of it. People don't know.
I think you have to you really have to be an initiate, like the woman who high priestess who initiated me. She went there to do special ceremonies, so I'll have to ask her.
Yeah,
definitely. She was there a number of years ago. Yeah,
because we tried to do like on the site that you see on all the tourist places.
Yeah.
We tried to do some ceremony there. We got through a couple minutes and then we got broken up.
Right.
So
you don't want women to gather and do ceremonies and to get their strength back.
No, and you know what happened to me is because I was obviously after seeing all of this, I went to the edge that was by the Nile, and I was just there by myself, and I was really having quite a breakdown at that moment in time. And one of the girls who, the original girls who had felt it, she came up to me, and all she did was put her hand on my back, and I wasn't even like screaming. I wasn't doing anything like this. I was just crying. She put her hand on my back, and the guards started screaming at us. Screaming.
Well, what do the guards know?
Yeah, really.
I don't know, but they're told like nothing. But I have a feeling that they knew, that they may have known that I was seeing the truth. I mean, that's just about it. And they were about to, my tour guide, my Egyptian tour guide, and the people who were helping us, they were like, they went and they grabbed Dagny and I and made sure, and he's like, we've got to go now. We have to make sure that we blend in.
Wow.
We have to make sure because, it was really wild. And
so how do you get out to this temple if it's in the middle of the water?
It's in the water. You have to get a boat.
You have to get a boat.
You have to get a boat. We went every time by boat.
that's amazing.
And,
so you had to order a special boat and someone to take you out?
We were in like a little campground. It was like little bungalows, and we had to have a boat to get on and off that little island anyway.
Okay.
So our boat would take us from, we'd be like, okay, we're going to go to the original site today.
Right. Okay. Right.
So that's how we were able to do it.
And so when I was asking you, Marcia, do you
sorry, I'm clearing something.
It's okay.
When I was asking Marcia, I said, "Do you think the mysteries had something to do with self-conception, like divine birth?" How do you resonate with that? Maybe related.
I think there's not much that isn't about that when it comes to women. I think that seems to be.
Well, I think that's the myth of Isis and Osiris. She, remember he gets killed and he's dismembered and she saves his penis. you got
Yes.
to remember that these are all like archetypal, mythological teaching stories, right? So she puts together from his severed phallus, like that's her taking the divine masculine, and she
Mhm.
puts it back together. She brings it back to life, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, that's just a metaphor
It could have
for
been
that kind of energy.
the mystery of resurrection, which is related, I'm sure, to divine conception also.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Kaleshwar talks about that actually.
Yeah.
That's it.
Um,
That Mary resurrected Jesus. She brought him back
right, she did it.
Right,
with
Yeah.
her womb
Yeah.
power.
right. Oh, there's your connection.
And
I mean, so these stories are always telling the same original story, right? There's just different ways of explaining it. Different cultures explain it, and lots of time went by. And the only thing I'm wondering is how did these Christians get to Egyptians still being there? Like, what time was this?
This would be about
That's
300
my
or
head's
something,
going.
eh?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what
we
I
were
think.
thinking.
It was late.
I
It
did
just
research. Hang on one
first.
second.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, I think it was before 500 maybe,
Okay.
because one of my friends, I'd have to text her again. When I told her I saw the boats, and she's like, the first thing she asked me, were the sails square or were they triangular? And I was like, huh? I said they were square, and she's like, oh, that was early. I think like the triangular sails didn't happen until after 500.
Oh, wow, interesting. That is so cool.
Right.
Um,
But I think Jennifer did some research, and she was thinking it was 500 or a little earlier. I don't know.
I did research last night, and I
Well,
sent.
that's around the same.
You're breaking up again?
Breaking up. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was Michelle breaking up, I guess.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. That's around the same time that Diotima was murdered by the priests, around 300 or 400.
Oh, okay.
He was the mathematician at Alexandria.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So it's probably around the same time.
That
The
would that makes
Catholics, the Pope,
Yep, they
there's
were
still
there.
Egypt going on, but yes, at that time they were like up
you
until
know
around.
what I'm wondering too, like Maureen, with the point that you said, well, the priests don't have a womb. I'm getting chills. Tell me what you ladies are getting. I'm seeing that they had a pen of women
Mm,
put aside
mhm.
that they could do the divine conception with and manipulate it with these penned women.
Yes. Yes, Marguerite talks about that in her book.
Oh, I'm
As
getting
far as the men would, or the gods or whoever they were, would trick the women who were in meditation doing their practice, and the priestess would think that they were getting a divine image of a divine male, but it was a trick.
Okay.
So that's
The next thing I'm getting too is, like I told Michelle, and I told you, there was a priestess who betrayed us, and one of the women in the group actually saw her on the boat. Like they saw this priestess on the boat going with the priests, going away from the island. Michelle and I were having this discussion last night, like, what really happened? I mean, these people these people don't feel like, to me, that they would keep their word, because she did it for power and for money.
Right.
And I'm wondering if these women who are betraying, because I also had earlier that year another betrayal lifetime of the sacking of Avalon. So like that was my second, like this was, to me, in my timelines and my lifetimes, this betrayal process was common. And I'm like, but what did they do with these women? And I'm wondering if they turned around and they put like a priestess who had betrayed her temple in one of these penned situations to be the women that practice the divine conception. Because the women who I'm getting this feeling about, the women, the word that I'm hearing is penned, that they were like put in a pen, like breeding stock. That it was, and it wasn't necessarily, they weren't complicit in it at all. That's not the feeling I'm getting.
No. which feels just like the Jeffrey Epstein thing, you know?
Oh, it does?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know more about that than I do.
Well, it's just that they didn't put them in pens, but they basically were completely controlled by money. They were
Mm.
all poor girls who didn't know how to get out of the situation. They were getting some money from it, not a huge amount. And they were, you know, when you're kind of violated at a really young age, it shocks you. And then you just kind of just think it's the norm to
Yeah.
receive money from this person who's nice to you sometimes and then treats you like shit other times and passes you on to different people. Like,
Mm.
oh, here's Prince Andrew. You go take care of him right now. You know, like weird shit like that. And it just it's like an ownership and they're
Yeah.
using the women for their, I mean, it gives the men something, you know, that the youthful sexual energy and who knows what else.
Yeah.
'Cause I know there's satanic rituals going on with the Hollywood higher up,
Mhm.
right? And the
And
drinking.
also too, the big hot spot. I have a friend that I worked with in Bali. She was part of the group, part of our group. She's an Aussie healer,
Okay.
and she had been living here in the States for a while, and she did a lot of work up at Mount Shasta. But then she said New York is a huge hot spot for the SRA because she went and did a lot of work there with one of her teachers,
What's that saying?
the
That's
satanic
all right.
ritual abuse.
Oh,
Oh,
satanic ritual.
ritual, satanic ritual abuse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle, I heard that too, that if they get the children really
Yeah.
young, they can split their psyche and then they don't
But they do
function
that to
right.
their own children, apparently. The wealthy do that to their own children. That's why they're so cold.
Yeah.
They've just been so demoralized and cut off at such a young age. That's why they can still keep going on and being that way. And they're programmed, they're programmed, right? So the woman who was in your group, Marcia, was she aware that she was this betrayer?
Yes, she
Is that
did.
what she was? Okay. What
Yeah.
happened to her?
I just found out because somebody actually told it to me in a semi-confidence.
Mhm.
So that part of it is confident. I don't know who she was.
Right.
All I know is that I don't know if she was a part of the priestesses who even went to the island where we did the huge healing process of taking off the chastity belts.
Mm.
But she knew. I mean, she knew it was her
Mhm.
because she actually said it to another woman. She said it to the woman who touched her because the woman who touched her saw it. She saw the vision of her on the boat and she turned to her because she knew something was wrong with this person. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And she touched her. She saw that she was a betrayer, and the woman turned to her and said, "I'm the one who betrayed all of you."
Wow.
Or the person turned to her because there were a few men there too. Turned to her and said, "I'm the one who betrayed you all." And she was very remorseful about it. I mean, it wasn't like, "Oh well," but she was
Right.
feeling it from what I was told.
Big stuff.
So all that energy needs to be cleared still, or was it cleared?
We did our best to clear as much of it as possible,
Mhm.
but with our side of it, we don't know about I don't know. We didn't really work at all with the betrayer side.
Right, right.
Right.
And then your question was, what happened to those women that were betrayed? I mean, how did they do that, or why, or what happened to them, right?
Um, what happened to the ones who were betrayed? We all gathered in ceremony and did that ceremony together.
Right, right.
So did you create your own ceremony to figure out how to visualize this
Yeah,
chastity belt? And good for you.
yeah. I mean, Layola. We went all to the original island, and we
Mhm.
were able to sit in circle for I don't know. I think we were there for 2 hours, and
Oh, wow.
Layola started channeling, and then
Mhm.
we all went on our own journey of how to remove the chastity belt.
Huh.
See, I just relate to that so
Wow.
I just like go, oh,
Wow.
Interesting.
where's my chastity belt on?
Yeah,
Right. Hmm. Yeah,
But
really smart, because everything that the masculine uses to control women is what, do you know what I mean? There's always a parallel
yes,
that the women would have created themselves to protect themselves, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Check the Holy of Holies, kind of like.
Yes,
right.
exactly. That's what we were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, in my case, I ended up being enslaved because it was very clear to me they realized, they knew that they weren't extracting what they came for. They knew the mysteries had been cut off.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't get through the whole ceremony. Only two of them. There were three. It was a ritual of three, and only two of them raped me. They didn't. By the time they were like, no, it's not working.
Wow.
So then they
Wow,
tossed,
I love it.
Right. Wow.
me. They were like, they tossed me
Right.
to the sailors, and then I was enslaved. And the woman who was the high priestess, the next morning, because I didn't tell anybody any of this, and this is the first time I've told this story in full, ladies. So
We're going to keep it.
yeah, just keep it on the down low for now.
Yeah.
But the woman who was
Yeah.
the high priestess, she turned to me. She saw it just was like a weird thing where I'm like, it's super early in the morning. I'm going to go see if there's tea available. She's sitting there of all the people in the group, and she's alone. And she's like, Marcia, I have to talk to you. And she was the high priestess, and they were torturing her to get the information. And she was essentially on a rack.
Oh,
Like, I saw you. You were the one I saw. And she's like, do you know what happened to you? And I'm like, yes. Yes, I do. And after that, I was enslaved. And so the thing is, I feel like like for me, because I was being tossed around and I was then enslaved, and God only know, I don't know what happened after that. So at that point, I know from this is my personal experience, I know I kept the chastity belt in place because for safety issues. But then we died, I died and never remembered it until this moment again.
So I wonder if it's good for us to have those chastity belts because
It protects you
protects.
in a way too.
Right.
Well,
Well,
in the
what
period.
ours was very specific to that time. And so what we were getting is it was actually not good. It was contributing at this point in time to locking down our orgasmic potential
Right.
of creation.
which
Right.
is part of the mysteries, I think, is that potential, part of the power. Um,
Hmm.
I wanted to just read this thing that I sent you last night, Marcia. I said the temple uh, of Isis, the Philae Temple was one of the last holdouts of ancient Egyptian religion, surviving as an altar to Isis 200 years after the rest of the Roman Empire converted to Christianity.
Wow.
200 years after. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
And
Malta is in there too, right? I guess.
Malta, I didn't do research on that. And then it said Emperor Justinian finally closed the temple to goddess worship in 535 AD, and several of the rooms were converted for Christian purposes until Islam arrived in Egypt years later.
Hmm.
So
There's
that
a year, 535.
535 is a year
Wow.
that
Yeah.
could have been,
Wow.
when all
Wow.
this went down. I
Huh.
just find it, yeah.
In my head, it was like there wouldn't have been
Sorry, can you?
Christians in Egypt, and the Egyptian goddess temple still going on that late. Oh, I think the connection is not good. Sorry, did you get that?
No,
No,
again?
we're talking out here.
Can you?
Okay,
Just
no,
the wind.
no, I'm just saying that I'm amazed that it went on till 535. Like
Yeah.
that seems really late. That's
Yeah.
1500 years ago. Wow.
Yep.
And
Right.
so I feel like this is like a window into like the overall history of, these women's mysteries, power, all,
Yeah.
and to, like, I don't know that anyone's writing about this time period, more, Marguerite's writing earlier,
Right. Right.
this is a slice of the
Yeah.
reality
Great.
of what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
And that I learned a lot from the idea that it's connected, it could be connected in with the satanic rites happening right now.
Yeah.
And then Marcia said also to me last night, she said, you know what, this Jeffrey Epstein thing is like 2,000 years old. This is not just a modern issue.
No.
No.
It's been going on a long time. Yeah.
It's in the Vatican, isn't it?
Yeah.
They
Oh,
say.
yeah. No, the Vatican is like, you don't want to go to the Vatican. That's what my old teacher used to say. He said, it's totally satanic. You don't want to go there, you know? So, I mean,
So this work we're doing then is breaking this down.
It is. I think we
I
all,
believe so.
yes, we're all coming from these other angles, you know.
mhm.
It needs,
So does Marcia know about that we're on Virgin Birth land here too, and
Yes.
well, so
Mhm.
that might be helpful.
And I just did the course with Marguerite,
Oh, you did?
Mother Mary.
Great.
Yeah.
Ah, how was that?
It was, for me, it was awesome. I mean, Mother Mary told me, she's like, go, go do it. Because I knew, I was raised Catholic. And so I knew that there were so many more layers to who she is and what was happening. And so part of the coursework was about me learning about Mary's divine conception and her ability to resurrect Jesus and, on and on.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And does Marguerite talk about it being related to Isis as well, or no? She's just focusing on Mary.
This course was focused almost on Mary, but she brings in the similarities of Isis. Yeah.
that's so cool. I just thank you, Marcia, for, sharing this
And when she's talking about,
I'm sorry, what?
oh, we got broken up there.
Yeah, what was that?
Say again, Michelle, what?
Michelle, we got broken up.
oh, I was just saying, I was just thanking Marcia for bringing this
Yeah.
into this bigger puzzle. Like this is a very
Yeah,
specific personal experience. It's like, oh my God.
sure.
Anyway, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Because I think that when you said the chastity belt, I went, right, okay. So women have they had to protect themselves energetically, and that's why all the power has been shut down. I mean, it's a protection, but
We
it
did it
also,
ourselves.
yeah, we did it ourselves
We
at it.
did
Well,
it
to protect
ourselves, is
ourselves.
what we saw,
Yeah,
for sure.
right. Hmm.
yeah, it's time to
Time to release it.
Yes.
and own it and not have to protect it that particular way,
So how do we protect? Well, I think that luminous structure is about protection.
Absolutely. You're wearing your t-shirt. Maureen's wearing the luminous
Oh,
structure.
yeah, beautiful.
Mhm.
And
I
you
love that. Oh, I love it. Yes.
Heart to womb.
and Marcia downloaded sacred geometry in the class, the womb power class.
Oh, yeah?
And
Oh, yes.
and
Yes.
you want to say that story, Marcia?
Well, no, I was in the class and I saw mine was different because I think we were working in the eyes. I saw the eyes and then going down to the ovaries, connecting. But last night during the womb power class, when Michelle, we were working on the nipples going down and to the ovaries, I think it was.
For the just one point.
The clip.
I saw what you're wearing now, Maureen. Is like boom, it came right back. Like connect, X, X, connect again.
Hmm.
And then I saw going up through it was from the clit all the way going up. I saw this triangle going that way too. That was superimposed over it.
But what I thought it was so cool, Marcia, was when, Maureen was in the class when Marcia got the vision that it was three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I
cone.
got three-dimensional and then it turned into two pyramids.
It turned into two pyramids that were doing like this. And then Mother Mary asked her to teach it in her channeling that she was already scheduled to do. And so she drew it out and taught us in her workshop, her channeled workshop.
Who's that? Who's that?
Marcia. Marcia.
Marcia, oh, sorry.
I just thought this is too wild. I never even thought of sacred geometry before I met Maureen and started teaching womb power. I mean, it just was like, I knew a little bit, but
Let me make it clear. See the
Oh, I love that.
diamond in the middle is the diamond in the middle is very important.
Oh, I love that.
I'll send you. That's the like portal.
That's a which portal?
Mhm. So you teach that.
womb portal.
That's the womb portal. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
what all comes through. So you teach a channeled class yourself, Marcia?
I just, yeah, I mean, it just came through. That meditation came through.
But Marcia's always doing them. I can let you know when she's doing 2 coming up. I can forward you the information if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to do more
Wow.
Zoom.
Cool. Yeah. And Michelle, you were doing womb stuff before you met Maureen, though, right? You were doing womb stuff before you met me. Were you not?
I was doing yoni moon lodges,
Okay.
yoni steam lodges. Yes, I hadn't even started. Yes, I'd already done one, and yeah, and I was interested in the womb, but I wasn't like some big expert in the womb at all. That's for sure.
No, neither am I.
But then we were talking about
Right.
the asteroid goddesses last night, Marcia and I, and how they're all,
Okay.
But Tara, I wanted to ask you, do you
Yeah.
just work with 4 asteroid goddesses, or do you work with like a lot of more of them?
Well, the 4 major ones, because that woman, Demetra George, who was Greek and she knew about the history and she could translate the Greek, she mainly focused on those. And like you were saying, you were surprised that a male astronomer named them because they were the first 4 discovered after those goddesses. And I didn't realize that they were all parthenogenic goddesses, especially Juno. And
Oh, no.
she's the mother of Mars. And I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, this is all very primal stuff again
Yeah.
and really needs to be fleshed out. I do work with other ones. I work with Lilith, but there's over 100,000 asteroids.
God.
So
That's a lot.
yeah, so like there's one for almost everything. Like for example, our dog had to be put down on Sunday. His name was Jasper, and I have his birth chart. So I went back to look at, when I was looking at it, I went, wait a minute, there must be an asteroid Jasper. And so I looked it up and there was an asteroid Jaspers, and I went, okay, close enough. So I put that into his chart, and it was like so interconnected. It was like karmic that he had to be named Jasper. So if you work with, like, Isis is an asteroid, I usually keep Isis. There's Hygeia, the goddess of hygiene. There's Sappho. There's Vulcan. There's all kinds of them, right? And so yeah, you can work with as many as you want. Actually, there's lots of kind of modern astrologers that do. Some people are going, well, wait a minute, you could draw anything in and then everything connects. Like you have to kind of choose which ones you want to work with, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's just so fascinating, though, that here you are working with the asteroid goddesses and then not really knowing that they're all virgin birth mother goddesses. And you're
Well, I kind of knew, I know about the Greek myths, I know about Ceres, Demeter, but I hadn't. Juno is the one that's been calling me specifically all this time. And I told you that I intuited that she was the goddess of feminine genius. And I just found the actually academic reference to it about 2 weeks ago.
Juno genius.
Yes, exactly. It's a feminine form of genius. But then I did some more research and I went, oh, wow, wait a minute. There's way more here. Athena is always like, she never marries. She's the one who comes out of Zeus's head,
Right.
So she's the only one who doesn't have a mother. So that one always bugged me, like she seemed like such a patriarchal goddess, right?
Well, and Marguerite says in her book that that's just a patriarchal.
Yes,
Well,
taken away from power.
Interpretation of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I know that. Yeah.
It sounds like the parthenogenesis is like part of every goddess.
We need to go to the Parthenon. Hello.
We need to go to the Parthenon.
Oh,
I went to
Yes.
the Parthenon. I have video footage.
2
from
years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I just remember being there and remembering that I was there thousands of years ago.
That's good.
I went, oh yeah, I know this place. you know, it was like when I went to Knossos, it was like, no, they have the colors all wrong here or something. But um, but that would be, but or to go to Delphi, I've never been to Delphi.
I
So,
know.
you know, they're saying that, you know, the priestess sat over those fumes and now
Yeah.
they're saying they were like yoni steaming besides them being whatever minerals they were imbibing there and getting high on, you know.
I know I brought
Yeah.
that in because Maureen did that right before my Yoni Moon Lodge, the second round of it. And then I read in Marguerite's book on Amazon just like a snippet, and it says, "Oh yeah, those priestesses at Delphi were doing vaginal fumigation, and it was totally related to how they were doing the divine self-conception. It was all connected." I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
One sentence,
Right.
eh? They're
So-
right there for you.
So Marguerite's really the one who's done the academic research.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Grateful for her. Good
I
grief.
I am too. Before I started doing Marguerite's class, I was getting this download on Earth Day on April 22nd to, work with the earth. And this is what Mother Mary wanted to bring in. I was working, Mary's really my big guide right now. And she kept on telling, like, she gave a couple of different sacred sites. Like she was telling people, place yourself at Stonehenge, place yourself here. And then she said the Parthenon. And I'm like, the Parthenon? Why would we go to the Parthenon?
Yeah, it's like it's so
No
obvious,
idea.
right?
And then, like 2 weeks later, Marguerite, I'm taking Marguerite's course and I'm telling Michelle,
Right.
and so in the vast majority of people listening to the call, like probably almost everyone was a woman. So one of the sacred sites that they were being guided to go to by Mary was the Parthenon.
Oh, there you go.
And Gaia, and Goddess Gaia.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's the time now to start sharing
Well,
information.
there was supposed to be that big priestess conference. You know about that?
Oh yes, I wonder how that went.
Well, no, they're canceling it now, but there was supposed to be this international, for the first time in 5,000 years, a priestess gathering in Crete, which was
Oh my God.
in October.
Oh,
And an elder woman, she's on Facebook, very serious. She works with Den Elder, is one of her good friends. Has been a devoted priestess. She has a beautiful singing voice. She had this vision, like back in 2010, that in 10 years all the women had to gather, and so she set this whole thing up, not in Knossos, but in some part in Crete. And it's funny because when I told people, some people I know signed up right away, and I kind of hesitated, and now it's not happening this year, so it's going to happen in 2021. I'm going, okay, 2021 is much better.
and when is it
Yeah.
going to be
So
2021?
what they're asking for, because I think Maureen actually put in an application a bit late, but maybe we could refine it. Women who have temples, who've been meeting and doing rituals to do presentations, so representing your temple. So they're acting together in different collectives to dance or to present or sound or whatever it is you do, or
Yeah.
channel, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Make art, to do that. So maybe they're going to reopen that up. I don't know.
So that plus there's another one I want to mention
Okay.
that's happening on Turtle Island.
Oh,
It's on the very
Manitoulin
center
Island?
of the turtle's back,
Wow.
and
Oh,
that's
wow.
up in Manitoba.
Oh, in
North
Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
And it's Geraldine. I was just chatting with her last night, and
Okay.
because of the virus again, she's already planted a peace tree, the white pine,
Oh, beautiful.
and she was calling all the grandmothers from everywhere.
Hmm.
And she's still hopeful she can get that to happen.
Who
So
is this person?
I'll connect you with her if you want,
Wow.
both of you.
Yeah.
Who's Geraldine? She's a native woman?
And you know how I met her? She's full blood Cree or Dakota. I met her through a Scottish Druid guy,
Ah,
and he's all about her. He's
Wow.
supporting her, and he told me all about her.
Cool.
cool.
But I keep thinking, see, it's the Parthenon now. The Parthenon is the place to go.
Yeah.
It's very cheap to go to Greece these days. You can go to Greece. I don't know if Americans can get over to America, but we Canadians could go.
Yeah, I don't know if we've been shut down by the EU and by the UK. I can't enter. I'm American.
Right.
I'm still
Right.
Canadian, but
I
still.
know. Right?
We're going.
You
Let's
go
all
to
get together when we can.
Oh no, you can't
No,
go to
they
Canada.
can't. Yeah.
They
This is
yeah.
called control.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shut out.
Anyway, both I think both sites are very important.
Oh, I
What's
agree.
that? Yeah. So, and is Marguerite also talking about doing the holy womb chakra work as well?
Yeah, she has a course planned for September
Right. Okay.
where she's going to teach
Not to be
specifically on that.
distracted. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we'll have to get busy and
Yeah,
present
yeah,
our
yeah,
course for
yeah.
the Andean tradition.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Which
more
is-
the merrier.
Oh, the and you're
Huh?
doing the Andean version.
Which is
That's
a,
her T-shirt is the Andean version.
Oh, okay. Was that the version that Cindy Lindsay first did?
that's
Yes,
it.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I got it.
Okay.
We got it.
And
Okay.
so Cindy Lindsay has sort of bequeathed the tradition to Maureen. Maureen is now the keeper of that
Oh,
tradition.
you're the keeper. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, we have to keep remembering, so like you're saying, you went to the temple, you remembered, all these women are downloading all these energies and everybody remembers a piece. So it's like we all have to share this information
Yes.
to get it all to come back alive again.
Yes.
It's very important.
It's very
Right.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you opened up this chastity belt, because I still think it's like, if you've gone through thousands of years of abuse, you're still kind of raw and vulnerable. And so I would think you really still need some kind of positive protection.
Oh
you know,
yeah.
Or tending to the wound. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, totally. I agree.
Yeah. So it feels
But you
like,
know, we're in a world where that kind of rape happens. So
mhm.
what do we do if we're gonna do our
Yeah. So it's one thing if you've taken off the protection, because now in a way that vulnerability and that hurt and that wound is exposed. So
Mhm.
that really needs to be tended to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and cleansed and renewed and made whole and all of that, right? So I think
Right.
that's
Right.
really
Well, that
important
was
to do.
part of that. At least was a part of that whole ritual.
Right.
so you feel safe?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I mean, my question is, because I'm also a trained transformational psychotherapist. So when you go through a big thing like that and you open it up, you would usually ask for, did you get another image or a symbol or a word or something else? You see what I mean? To protect you. You know what I mean? Because it feels very kind of raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's got to be healed. It's like it does take time because
Oh
there's
no, absolutely.
karmic memories and women are still being abused and sexual abuse and all that stuff's gone on for like thousands and thousands of years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
I think that womb power is also what we're doing is healing all that,
yeah.
I wonder if the luminous structure is something.
I agree.
right? And all the practices that you've done, you uh, did all kinds of different practices, Marcia.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I worked a lot to prepare myself to go.
Okay.
And the only thing that I really saw, as I saw after all the belts fell off, is I had like amazing, beautiful, like golden light. My womb just went golden, and the yoni just went golden afterward. And I was working directly more with. I think I was working directly more with Horus. I have to go back with my notes because, but for me, after the ceremony was done, I was like, for me, it was like such a relief
Yeah.
because it's like I could literally feel the weight
Yeah.
drop off.
Yeah. When you say it, I can feel it, and the heart kind of really opens.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like,
there's that heart womb connection, right?
Right.
yeah, I just felt like, I felt like I had dropped thousands of years of garbage,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Is your
Yeah.
life changing at all? It's not very long ago, though, is
Yeah.
it?
This just
Well, it
happened.
was 2018, but yeah, it is actually.
Okay.
Because I've become much more confident in my ability. I'm expanding and going into other work, and I'm using the interesting thing for me is I'm using my voice so much more.
Hmm.
So for me, there
Do you,
was
like in
heart
sounding,
and the
speaking?
throat.
Right. Well, that, your second chakra, in the throat is aligned, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
In the womb,
Because
yeah.
that's like a typical. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and that's a typical teaching in our teaching.
Yeah, so you know that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
And
that's
I've worked a lot with women over the years in classes about this relationship, whatever was channeled through.
right. That's great.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you all for
Thank you so
receiving.
much.
And
Thank you.
this recording that I'll just stop the recording now.